In my previous video, I discussed my theory that we are in the late stages of the Pokemon bull market, otherwise known as the euphoria phase. The euphoria phase is characterized by a rapid influx of the speculator archetype. Now, the speculator archetype is the type of person who's going to go on Twitter and they're going to type in, "How do I get rich?" And Twitter, of course, says, "I know exactly how to get rich. How to get me rich." And they'll say something like, "PP coin is at an all-time low. Never been a better time to buy. It is primed for a pump." And the speculator says, "You know what? I'm stupid enough to believe that." We're seeing that type of person enter the Pokemon market. You know, I see it on message boards. I see it on YouTube, like, is this a good investment? Is my trick or trade a good investment? These are signs that we are entering a very scary phase of the market. But there's other signs outside of just the trading card bubble that I wanted to bring up in this video today. Signs of macroeconomics, geopolitical problems, and just overall issues that could bleed in to the cardboard world. So the number one, of course, is the uncertainty of the S&P 500. So there's been a lot of reasons that the S&P 500 has been spooked lately. The number one reason, of course, is that the United States entered a war in the last 2 weeks. We don't know if we can get oil out of Iran. We don't know if this is going to escalate. And the S&P, outside of certain defense stocks like Lockheed and Martin, the S&P, its nipples get really hard, like it just went outside in the cold, and it turtles up. Which, oh, by the way, a turtle is exactly how the S&P 500 has looked in the last 6 months. So if you follow, you have a slight increase, and then you hit a peak, and then we head back down. So it's kind of the turtle formation. Right now, we are in the downward phase of that. So if you look at the S&P 500's correlation to moves by Pokemon cards, you'll notice that the last time the S&P had a major downturn, which was about 5 months ago in October, which, oh, by the way, Bitcoin had just come off of its all-time high and was also crumbling at the same time, that Pokemon cards followed that downturn. They just did. Go look at the charts. Especially with Bitcoin. The Bitcoin and Pokemon downturn of the late fall last year are hand in hand, step in step. It's uncanny. Now, here's where the difference comes in. The difference is that Pokemon rebounded from that bottom, from that local bottom, and Bitcoin just kind of kept deteriorating, and it's smoldering around like 70,000 right now or something. I'm not really sure. The point is, Pokemon gets Ascended Heroes to come out, and Bitcoin has to weather all of the uncertainty. So the speculator won't necessarily realize that if the S&P 500 is going down, and we've proven that the S&P 500 in the past can pull down every single other asset class with it, including collectibles, that maybe this isn't the safe haven that they thought it would be. So to piggyback off of the theory that Pokemon and broader assets follow the S&P 500, which they do, we're going to present that the S&P 500 in the last week is down greater than 2 percentage points because of the uncertainty of the war and because we're in a midterm year. Now, who gets elected doesn't really matter to the markets. The markets, all they really want is stability. Now, midterm years are always characterized by the biggest, grossest shit slinging that you've ever seen this side of the Mississippi River, right? Oh, he wears blue. Lob a turd and bomb at him. Right? Ah, the red guy. Poop arrow. It's just nonsense. It really is. And you're going to get so sick of it. I already am. And the market's going to see all that and it's going to say, look, we don't know if there's going to be a power shift. We don't know what's going to happen to who's calling the shots. We don't know if Congress is going to change. We don't know this. We don't know about the war. We don't know that. So we are going to withdraw our money from the S&P 500 and wait for a resolution. Because the only thing worse than missing out on taking gains is to ride them all the way down. Unless you're a super long-term investor, in which case just buy and hold. It doesn't really matter. But people are short-term. People like to play this game where you sell at the top and then you buy at the bottom and then you broaden and you maximize in your charts and your betas and the thetas and the anas and all of this stuff. Which, by the way, if you're in the card market and you're into just investing, don't sell your sealed at the top. Well, don't sell your sealed just because you think that a market downturn is coming. That we are going to be in an environment of extreme uncertainty for the next 8 months. And during that time frame, you can expect to see the S&P 500 dip below its current levels and maybe go past the some of the local bottoms, or at least scrape some of those local bottoms of last year. This is going to mean really bad things for Pokemon cards. So similarly, as you have a distribution phase occurring in the S&P 500, like we talked about with the turtle formation, you could have a distribution phase forming in Pokemon right now. And you might ask, Jeff, how could you possibly know that? I'm going to tell you exactly how. Because I'm freaking beginning to sell. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. So I got some, formerly a sealed case of Lost Origin. And you will notice, perceptive viewer, that this sealed case of 6 is down to 5. Why? Because I actually exceeded my profitability threshold like last year. So I bought that and I was like, you know what? Pokemon's going out of stock on Pokemon Center. I don't have a big enough position in Lost Origin that I'd like. You know, I see this going up 2-3x in the next 5 years. 5 years, God, try 5 weeks, right? So it soared past my declared to myself 300% profit. And now that I'm beginning to see some concerning signs, I'm saying, okay, look, I'm going to distribute this onto the next generation of investors so that they can learn, like I did, that you should avoid buying at the top. And if I'm doing it, I'm not special. I'm just an idiot in a basement trying to start a business. And if I'm an idiot in a basement trying to start a business, you can bet that other idiots in the basement trying to start a business are going to do the same thing. And if everybody's selling at the same time onto the new generation of investors, well, then you're going to have the turtle formation. Oh, and one more thing. One more thing. This goes more on vibes than really anything else. Look, we are like 2 years into this bull market, guys. 2 flipping years. The money has been made. The money has been made. We are just like, we're clawing for the last threads of profitability here. And again, I talked about this since I started this channel, ever since the beginning. I am not a believer in perfect order. I think perfect order is going to pour so much cold water on this entire market, and we are going to be better for it. But here's yet another thing. One little extra tidbit for you. So the spoilers for the next Japanese set, Ninja Spinner, are out. And you know what? They look pretty bad. So if perfect order underperforms, then everybody needs to pray that the set after perfect order is good. And if you look at what happened last year, Journey Together came out and it underperformed with relation to Prismatic Evolutions. And then what happened? And then Destined Rivals came out. But guys, Destined Rivals ain't coming to save our asses. Ninja Spinner looks pretty freaking mid. So what's going to happen, I theorize, is like what I discussed in my very first video on this channel when I said, look, the credit card crisis in America is going to come to a head. And that Pokemon is being buoyed by people maxing out their credit cards, stacking to the next set. If you want to go watch that, it's pretty raw, kind of gross, God, that was like 6 weeks ago and I already hate it. Isn't that funny how that works? One of you crazy awesome people out there actually decided to subscribe to me. So whoever you are, Mr. Cheesy Balls 420, understand that me and you are brothers for life.